welcome back to my channel. This video I'm going to talk about the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. This is a new primer on e.l.f.'s website, and I'm going to compare it to the Tatcha the Silk Canvas Primer. When I was browsing e.l.f.'s website, I saw that they have this primer. I saw pictures of it and I read through the description and the ingredients. It reminded me a lot of the Tatcha the Silk Canvas Primer, so I went ahead and ordered it. For starters, I just want to let you know that my skin or my face is combination oily. It's a lot more oily in the summer. In the winter time, kind of normalizes a little bit, but I do get oily after about 8 hours of foundation wear. I have been testing both of these guys. I wore them at first by themselves, like I would wear the e.l.f. primer by itself under a certain foundation, and then the next day I would use the Tatcha primer by itself under the same foundation. I did that for a couple days, and then the past couple days I have been wearing them both at the same time. Like half of my face would be Tatcha, the other half would be e.l.f., and then I would put the same foundation all over and see how they wear. Let's get into the sizes and all that. The Tatcha primer is 20 grams. It retails for $52. I purchased mine from Sephora. I ordered it, and then like a day or two later I was browsing e.l.f.'s website and I saw this guy, so it reminded me a lot of the Tatcha. I ordered the e.l.f. one. The e.l.f. one is 21 grams and it retails for $8. It's the standard e.l.f. packaging, nothing spectacular, where the Tatcha looks like an expensive product. It does come with a little bit scooper. The scooper has on it like a little mark where you're supposed to scoop the product until it hits the mark, and that's what you're supposed to use for the whole face. I find that that is a lot of product. You really don't need that much. A little bit goes a very long way. This is what the Tatcha looks like on the inside. Like I said, I have been using it, and I've used it a couple times, and really I barely made a dent in it. The same with the e.l.f. This is what the e.l.f. guy looks like. Again, I use this guy a handful of times, and a little bit goes a long way with both of them. This is what they look like side by side. They kind of have the same color. I would say the consistency is almost the same. The Tatcha is a little bit more creamy, goes on a little bit smoother. I find it to be a little bit more pore filling than the e.l.f. one. I'm not gonna keep you guessing. I have the Tatcha on my left side, so this side of my face, and then the e.l.f. on this side. I see the biggest difference wearing these two side by side when I do have on a dewy foundation. If I have a matte foundation, it's not as noticeable of a difference, but when I do have a dewy foundation or a lot of highlights, I do definitely notice a little bit of difference. I find that my pores look a little bit more showing with the e.l.f. one than they do with the Tatcha one. The Tatcha looks a little bit more airbrushed, where the e.l.f. one, the pores are filled in, but not quite like they are with the Tatcha one. Now, we're talking about or comparing the ingredients list for the e.l.f. compared to the Tatcha. They have very similar ingredients, just in a various, like their location on the list varies a little bit. The Tatcha has a little bit more of skincare ingredients, which I kind of expected because they are a skincare brand. I know e.l.f. sells skincare products, but they are not a skincare brand. They were started as a cosmetics makeup brand. Are they due for each other? They're very, very similar. Like I said, if you are wearing a matte foundation, you're not going to notice much of a difference. But if you are wearing a dewy foundation, you'll see very slight difference. Not major, where it'll be like, okay, they're not dupes. They are very comparable to each other. The e.l.f. is a lot more affordable option, you know. So it comes down to preference. If you are wearing a very like dewy foundation, lots of highlight, and you do tend to bring your highlight down to this area of your face, you might notice a little bit of difference in them, but not to the point where it's like, no, they're not dupes. They are not exact dupes, but they are very comparable. Again, I do have both of them on today. The foundation that I have is a custom foundation. I just mixed a bunch of different foundations together to match my skin tone and to use up whatever foundations that are on their last leg. So, but it is more on the matte side. Yesterday I did have on a dewy foundation when when I first started the day, they looked really exactly the same, but about the 6-7 hour mark, I did see a little bit more of my pores showing on the e.l.f. side than the Tatcha side. So that's why I decided to wait a day, test them out with a matte foundation, and then let you know my thoughts. Again, they're not exact dupe. They're very similar if you are wearing a matte foundation, not emphasizing your pores. But if you are wearing a dewy foundation, which usually tends to show a little bit of the pores, you might see slight difference, but not to the point where like you are gonna tell that you are wearing two different primers. I could tell just because I knew I had two different primers on. So there you have it. The e.l.f. is definitely an affordable option for the Tatcha one. If you have been curious about the Tatchas, just go into Sephora, ask for a sample. They'll give you a little container. They'll put some of this in it. You can test it out at home. If you like it, whatever you thought about it, you know, you really wanted to try it, I would definitely recommend the e.l.f. It's not a whole major difference in them, so you are going to get very similar results, just a little bit more airbrush, like I said, with the Tatcha. I don't know if it's very visible on the camera, but there's the Tatcha side, like I said, and then here's the e.l.f. side. So it's not a major difference where you can tell, but there's a little bit of difference. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.